Hi, my name's Amy. I'm going to be taking you through my physical activity intervention program for my client Sharon. So a little bit of client background and details with Sharon. So Sharon's date of birth is 6th of the 10th, 1965, making her 57 years of age. Sharon is a full-time smoker, currently around 20 to 30, cigarettes a day. But we currently working on that. That's one of Sharon's obviously SMART goals that we can see down the bottom there. Furthermore, Sharon is 60 kilograms in weight, 160 in height, equaling a BMI of 23.4, still popping her in that healthy range. At the moment, Sharon has no injuries, which is great, but she's currently only undertaking 60 minutes of physical activity per week, classifying her as a sedentary individual. So this is why a 12-week program has been set out for Sharon, and to initiate and trying to establish and tick off and achieve some of her SMART goals. A bit more about Sharon and her background. Like I said, she's 57 years of age, so putting her in the more of the older adult population as such. And Sharon, one of Sharon's goals is like to spend more time with her grandchildren around the yard or doing various different activities with them, without getting fatigued in short bouts of time. Sharon used to play like high grade hockey and netball, such over 20 years ago. But as a result, she's lost all her physical activity after decreasing playing hockey and netball. But yeah, one of Sharon's goals would love to be back out on the pitch and on the court playing hockey and netball at a social and community level. Furthermore, onto Sharon's SMART goals. Number one, we can see increased physical activity levels, and that obviously goes without saying, trying to increase those 60 minutes of physical activity to the minimum 150 per week, which is achievable. This is why this plan has been put in place. To increase muscle mass, so obviously sarcopenia does come into a bit of a factor with older adults, so obviously trying to retain bone mineral density and bone muscle density is such a huge factor in trying to prevent fatigue and falls and prevention of injuries. Number three is to cut down on tobacco use and cigarette intake. More preventions have been put in place to help Sharon minimise from that. That she's obviously referred on to her local GP to try and establish a bit more of a program as such in that way. And number four there, I rehashed on it here before. She would like to go back to playing netball and hockey at a competition level, at a social level, which is really good for her, one, mental health, getting out and being active and social with others, and getting outdoors. So previously in part one, I went through my initial consultation with Sharon, and we went through the adult pre-screening tool, and we have identified obviously with her sedentary activity levels that we are going to be starting at the light exercise intensity guidelines, so 40 to 55 max heart rate with a very light to light RP of 1 to 2. This is to help Sharon guide into her physical activity regime and trying to promote lifestyle changes and behavioural lifestyle changes as well. So furthermore, with the overview of Sharon, we're going to be now working through her 12-week program that I have established for her. So yeah, let's get into it. So as you can see, we've got weeks 1 through to 4 up the top, and down the bottom we've got the acronym FITT. So FITT stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type. So frequency being how frequent it is per the week, intensity being how hard it is, time, the duration, and the type, what type of exercise are they doing, aerobic, resistance training, and so forth. So week 1, I've just popped down 5 days a week aerobic training of very light, so a walk in the morning with a dog, 20-minute walk. We're just trying to enhance those behavioural changes and different lifestyle factors. So there's no point definitely rushing into it. That's why I've just put 5 days a week, 20 minutes. It's totally up to Sharon what days she would like to conduct these. I did speak to Sharon and say that obviously mornings work better for her if she's really fatigued after work. That I totally understand. But yeah, we'll just pop down aerobic training 5 days a week, definitely in week 1 for 20 minutes to start off with. I've popped down 1 day of resistance training to obviously start enhancing muscle mass into her training regime, but still looking at the 40 to 55% max heart rate and still just working on compound movements. Down in the type, I've popped, I have a lot of free weights or body weight or weight machines. I've highlighted body weight because that's where I'd like to start. Not just because it is the easiest. One, because yeah, it is great that it is the easiest, but two, it is the less dangerous and less required supervision and decreased chance of injury occurring basically. For week 2, it is much the same, but I have spoken to Sharon and she'd like to take on fortnightly ES sessions. So that's what I've added in for week 2. The total duration for that week is 160 minutes. So we're doing the minimum of 140 per week. But in this EP session, it's not going to be initial consultation because we've already done that. We've really established Sharon's goals. So we're going to be working more of the whole body targeted sessions, working on those compound movements. And any questions or queries that she has with her resistance training, that's what we're really going to be targeting towards as well. I'll pop down flexibility and mobility as well. Obviously, because Sharon is 57 years of age, flexibility and mobility decreases. And it's just what happens. So obviously trying to incorporate that can really enhance and decrease the chances of injuries, any niggles, and anything like that. Moving on to week 3, we can see a bit of an increase in the total minutes of physical activity up to 210. Aerobic still being the same, but we're increasing it by 10 minutes. So we're building on her aerobic capacity. And we're moving into a bit of a moderate. So, for example, it can be a bit of a speed walk, not moving into any running at the moment. But yeah, just a bit of a fast-paced walk in a way. But yeah, still keeping it around 4 to 6 RPE. For week 3, I've popped in moving on to weight machines with the resistance training. So a bit more fixed weight. So we're moving away from body weight. Yep, still can conduct weight body resistance training, but moving on to a bit more specificity now. For week 4, this is exactly the same as week 3, but we're just incorporating that EP session in there as well. So moving into weeks 5 to 8, so that's the second block as such. Still working on frequency, intensity, time and type. We can see in week 5 there that resistance training has up to 2 days a week for 30 minutes and aerobic training is still at 5 days a week but increased it to 45 minutes. Moderate intensity, so 70 to 80%. So this could be a jog or a short jog with a walk, short jog and a walk as such. But as long as we're getting that in. I've popped resistance training down there at different suggestions that Sharon might want to do or improve on or something, or one of them that she may like and really want to work towards. But the amount of resistance training and aerobic training has increased per day and per minute because we really want to put the body under some sort of stimulus to be able to progress and make adaptations to the body because we don't want to keep in that steady state. We want to see muscle mass increase. We want to see the cardiovascular system increase. So by that, we need to put the body under some sort of stimulus and pressure to see those adaptations occur. And really expressing that to Sharon of why that has been planned out. Not just because we want to pop some numbers in there, it's just because that body needs to be under some sort of stimulus to be able to progress, basically. So week 6, we can see the same as week 5, but we've just added in that EP session for 30 minutes. And we're sitting down with Sharon and obviously going through a bit of a skill session for hockey and chat and rehash about her goals, which we're basically at that halfway mark of the 12-week program, and really seeing what she is enjoying, what she doesn't, and so we can either progress or regress in some areas, because at the end of the day, this is Sharon's program, and we really want to alter it towards her. We want her to enjoy it because this is what she's going to be doing. We want to make it a lifestyle factor, not just a chore, basically. So week 7, we can see the adaptation of hockey training in there, which is great. Hockey season will be starting, so training will be commencing as well. We can definitely see a spike in minutes of physical activity per week, but that's just with that increased hockey training. Hockey training with 6 to 8 hour RPE, because obviously Sharon hasn't done any sort of hockey training or games after 20 odd years, so it could be a bit of a shock to the system. So I've just popped that in there like so. Still keeping our aerobic and resistance training at the same moderate intensity, because weeks 5 and 6 you would have got used to it by week 7. And yeah, week 8 there we can see the incorporation of that EP session. And with the EP session, having a bit more of a chat as well about if there's any niggles or anything that we should be really focused or alarmed about coming off Sharon's first hockey training. Right, so week 9 we see a decrease in 1 day of aerobic, either jog or walk in the morning, and that's gone down to 40 minutes. This is just due to the inclusion of the 1 hour hockey training per week. We don't want to burn Sharon out. Obviously, she's still working, has grandchildren, so we want her to still really enjoy her program, and we don't want to cut anything out of that as well. So we're still at the 75 to 85% max heart rate, and our resistance training has gone up to 45 minutes for 3 days per week. Moving on to week 10. Week 10 is the same as week 9, but just with the inclusion of an EP session in there as well. This session, one-on-one, will work more on flexibility and a bit of a stretch session, just due to Sharon having her first game of hockey in week 11, so in the prior week coming. So we want her to be nicely flexible, not having any niggles or any tight muscles at all. We really want her to be nicely warmed up, and decreasing the chances of any injury occurring in this pre-game. Week 11, we see resistance training go down to 2 days and down to 30 minutes. This is just due to decreasing the chances of delayed onset muscle soreness, and wanting Sharon to be as fresh as possible, obviously reducing the burden of injury as much as we can. Obviously within older adults it is more common, so we're just trying to put prevention in place to try and decrease or minimize those chances of happening. And week 12 there, we see resistance training go back up to 3 days. And same as aerobic, still at R4 for 40 minutes, and resistance training go back to 45 minutes. An EP session is in there as well. Likely wanting to go over compound movement session, but a bit of an open session for Sharon to go anything that she may experience throughout the game, any progression or regression that she would like to talk about at all, and how she's going with the program. So this is just my inclusion of the reference list for Sharon's 12-week program intervention.